tonight on the Final Play.
Here's Newton under pressure, and he's going to be tackled and sacked and dropped.
The Saints break out the brooms to sweep the Panthers and punch a ticket to a rematch in Minnesota.
There's a sense of urgency throughout the week, and you just sense it around your team.
We'll have reaction from the players as well as analysis from Jim Henderson, who called the game.
Here's Breeze stepping up, delivering down the middle, and it's going to be Ted Ginn in his hands, and Ted Ginn will go all the way. The former Carolina Panther takes it in stride and has the touchdown.
Plus, a look ahead at LSU's offseason, the college football title game's coming up, and we'll take the temperature of hoops right here in Southeast Louisiana.
From Fox 8 Sports, this is the Final Play, sponsored by your Southern Quality Ford dealer, built Ford tough, and Nissan.
Welcome into the Final Play. I'm Juan Kincaid, and it's on to Minnesota for the black and gold. The Saints' third time against Carolina ended just like the previous two, with Drew Brees and company putting up at least 30 points in a victory. Sean Vazan begins our coverage tonight from the Mercedes-Benz Superdome.
No one ever said it was going to be easy, especially in the playoffs, especially when you're facing a team for the third time in one season. And that is exactly what happened when the Saints and Panthers met on Sunday. And it all came down to one final play. And for the third time this season, it was the Saints that ended up on top.
Here's Newton under pressure, and he's going to be tackled and sacked.
The climactic finish was in stark contrast to the start, where things began slow. But after trading 3 and outs early on, the Saints finally caught their break when Graham Gano missed a 25-yard chip shot field goal. Sensing an opportunity, Sean Payton dialed up a big play, and Drew Brees delivered when he connected with Ted Ginn Jr. on a deep post for an 80-yard touchdown against his former team.
You know, I just want to tell him I'm the X factor.
That's it. Ted Ginn.
The one to Ted was really a blown coverage, and he just was able to sneak through the defense and caught my eye, and so I launched it to him. But, you heard the stadium. It was an eruption, and, you felt like, all right, you need those moments throughout the course of a game.
Brees making plays with his arm was a theme for the day. It became clear very early that the Panthers were intent on stopping the run. Brees took full advantage and shredded the Panthers secondary to a flurry of pass catchers. Michael Thomas had 8 catches for 131 yards, and Josh Hill enjoyed a career day with 3 catches for 49 yards and a touchdown in the first half. That was simply a thing of beauty from the play caller.
We felt real strong about that play call. It had like 10 stars on the call sheet, and it was really the first in 10 inside the 20 or whatever it was, and it was on the perfect hash.
Defensively, they lived by the mantra of bend but don't break. The Panthers moved the ball at will in the first half, but couldn't find the end zone. Had to settle for 4 field goals.
That's what won us the game. In many different, instances, that's what won us the game. So, we're going to keep getting better at that, and hopefully we don't got to bend too much.
Which they nearly did in the second half when the game got more intense. The Panthers finally broke through with Cam Newton touchdown passes to Greg Olsen, who once again had a great day against the Saints, and rookie Christian McCaffrey. The McCaffrey touchdown hushed the electric Superdome crowd. They got even more anxious on the very next drive when on 4th and 2 from the Carolina 47-yard line, Sean Payton elected to go for it. Brees' pass was intercepted by Mike Adams.
We went with a little hard count, called a timeout, and going to win the game. Going to win the game.
You got to play to win the game. Play to win the game.
What's going through your mind when they decided to go for it on 4th down? The offense we talk about, and now you guys got to go back on the field.
We're going to win the game. Why not us?
And that's exactly what they did. And just as they had done all game long, they came up with big plays when they needed them most. First, Cam Jordan rushed Newton and forced an intentional grounding. Then, on 4th and 23, Dennis Allen dialed up a blitz that Von Bell executed to perfection.
The coach want to get the ball out the quarterback fast, and out his hands fast, so they dialed it up. I said, go make a play, and I did. I stepped up to the plate again. It's for this team, just going out there for my brothers, sealing the big game and getting on to the next week.
Hey, we won. Feels good. It's hard to beat it's hard to beat a team 3 times, especially a team as prideful as the Panthers, and it was a team effort. And so there's no better feeling than knowing that, man, you just won, and not only won, but you won a playoff game as a team, and now you're on to the next one.
We now welcome in the voice of the Saints, Jim Henderson. And Jim, this was a playoff game, no doubt about it. You played the Carolina Panthers. You beat them for the 3rd time in one season. But look, it wasn't going to be easy. We all knew it. First off, let me get your take on just the atmosphere here today. It was playoff feel. It felt like a playoff game.
It definitely did, and I think both teams certainly were well prepared for this one, especially the Panthers. We spoke about this in pregame. This is a team that's the 3rd best rushing defense in the NFL. They were torched for close to 150 yards in both these games, and that's nearly twice what they usually give up. So they came in prepared to stop Kamara and to stop Ingram, and they had Kamara average 2.3 yards per carry and Ingram 2.4, 41 yards overall for the Saints on the ground.
It's interesting because you went into a playoff game basically daring the opposition's Hall of Fame quarterback to beat you, and guess what? He did. I don't know if I'm the head coach if that's the strategy I want to use.
Well, I think that's the beauty of the Saints now, the kind of balance that they have. In the old days, you could say that. You know, we're going to take Drew Brees away. We're going to get him off his spot. We're going to get him rattled. We're going to get him on the move. That's the way to beat this team. No longer is that just the case. Today, the emphasis is truly on stopping the run, and when you've got number 9, and he has to be number 9, he can always come through.
He certainly did today, and a lot of twists and turns in this game. I want to get your take, though, on the 4th down call. Sean Payton calls they go for the freeze. They don't get him to jump off sides, and they go back out and call it, and they throw the pass. It was intercepted, thankfully. Ooh, Jim, I was thinking to myself, I don't know about this one. What did you think?
I didn't like it. Said so on the broadcast. I didn't like the call. Deuce and I had difference of opinion. He said go for it. And, you know, when you look at it, and I think Drew tried to make a little bit of light to it afterwards in his press conference. Well, yeah, you know, you throw it up there, you throw one that's just going to be intercepted, maybe you get a pass interference. Well, you also could have thrown an incompletion, which would have made more sense for the Panthers if they made it incomplete. They would have gained about 16 yards in field position instead of intercepting it. Or you get sacked, or and then you turn the ball over even closer to your goal line. Did not like the call. Thought they were a little bit too daring there considering the situation. When you got Thomas Morstead, you got one of the best punters in the league as far as putting people down inside the 10, directional punting. Did not like it. And you know, we said this at the end of the game too. Thank God for Cam Jordan and Von Bell, because if that had not been a sack that ended the game and a touchdown did, that would have been one of the biggest second guesses in history, not just Saints history.
Well, thank goodness it didn't, because it would have been a whole different feel as we talk right now. You mentioned defense. I thought the best thing about the defense today, because I thought they had some issues, especially pre-snap early in the game, but the best thing they did, they kept them out of the end zone for the most part. And for the most part, the Saints traded field goals for touchdowns.
Which is usually the way you win, isn't it? We've seen it on the other side, too. When you get down in the red zone and you have to kick field goals, and I think they were 0 for 3 in the red zone the first 3 trips down there. When you're in the red zone and you're kicking field goals and you got Drew Brees throwing 80-yard touchdowns, and the Saints only had 2 third down conversion attempts in the first half. They were 0 for 2 because on those drives, those 3 touchdown drives, they never faced a third down opportunity. So in some ways, the statistics lie somewhere.
I thought one call that Payton got right, and it ended up, if you add up the totals of the points at the end of the game, it really could have been the difference in the game, was his decision to allow Will Lutz to kick that 57-yard field goal. That's a tricky part of the field. You can play field position there. You can go for it there. But he decided to let Will Lutz kick it, and he came through in a big way. I thought that's a decision that may kind of get a little overlooked, but I thought that was a big moment in the game.
Yeah, and Lutz had a streak going, too. He hadn't missed in quite some time. And certainly Sean Payton has more confidence now in Will Lutz than he might have a couple of years ago. So he equals his career long with that one, and it was a really big play momentum-wise. I mean, I think Gano was a yard off his career longest with the one that he kicked. So, yeah, that was a big play. Certainly that's the kind of stuff you need from your kicker as you advance in the playoffs. You got to have that solid kicker, and at least right now the Saints do.
So we're all feeling good. The city's feeling good. The team's feeling good. All these fans out here are feeling good. But in about 24 hours, the table's going to turn to Minnesota. Jim, you got your long johns packed?
Yeah, I don't figure to be outside very much in Minnesota. You know, maybe from the bus into the hotel, that'll be about it for me. Yeah, it's going to be really chilly. I'm grateful. I would rather go to Minnesota, although I don't like the matchup. I'd rather go to Minnesota and play inside than go to Philadelphia and play outside.
No doubt about it. And you know what? this team is, like Drew said, night and day from the last time they played back in week 1. I know you and I, when we spoke after that game, we didn't think we were going to end up here.
No, not at all. But they're still a pretty good football team. That defense is really stout up front. A little concerned about Andres Pete being injured now. Calmente got banged up again. That's a really tough front four and some excellent linebackers. You got Harrison Smith, who's all-pro safety. It's going to be tough to score points on those guys. But, hey, you've gotten this far. What's to stop you now?
The Saints live to see another day, another week. Next stop, Minnesota. Jim, thank you.
Thank you, Sean.
We've got much more from today's big game and big win over the Panthers coming up, including Chris Hagan breaking down Drew Brees' big day in the Dome.
Keys to the Game is sponsored by your Southern Quality Ford dealer. You're watching The Final Play.
Our catch of the week came from today's game, of course, and was the first touchdown of the game. Of course, Drew Brees to a streaking Ted Ginn Jr., and TG did the rest. 80 yards and a touchdown for the Saints, putting them ahead to stay. It's the longest pass play of the season for the Black and Gold, and it's also our catch of the week. Drew Brees hasn't been asked to do as much this season as he has in years past. Being able to hand the ball off to Alvin Kamara or Mark Ingram, that's the big reason why. But Brees showed today that when called upon, he can still deliver like the good old pass-friendly days. Chris Hagan has more.
The Panthers talked all week about taking Mark Ingram and Alvin Kamara out of the game and making the Saints more one-dimensional. Well, be careful which dimension you wish for if it's Drew Brees, that's the other option.
They usually play a lot of 2 high and then they switch to 1 high. So as a receiver, you're licking your chops with a quarterback like Drew Brees and the talent we have. We knew what we had to do.
You know, we just try our hardest, me, Mike, and Snead, and Cole, and Tommy Lee, to try to get ourselves open, you know, for Drew. You know, because, you know, down the stretch, we knew we was going to have to be the guys.
All of the receivers, and Ted Ginn Jr. in particular, were outstanding en route to 376 yards passing from Brees, his second highest total of the year against one of the toughest defenses they've faced. But what made this game such a vintage performance from number 9 was the way he worked everyone into the mix, including tight end Josh Hill, whose 3 catches were for 2 first downs and a touchdown.
Drew does a good job of finding, you know, the guys structurally that the defense is probably going to be given up, or within the framework of his progression, you know, who the ball should go to.
I think what we've shown offensively is that we have a lot of ways to be effective, a lot of weapons to spread the ball around.
Brees and Peyton say it wasn't so much a challenge from the Panthers to Brees to beat them, but rather the result of what happened in the previous 2 matchups where the Saints won the game on the ground.
In a lot of cases, you just have to wait till you get to game day. You know, you prepare yourself, you put all the tools in your toolbox, and then you wait to get to the job, and then you figure out, all right, well, these are the tools we're going to need to get this job done.
He likes pressure. He likes dissecting you. I'm pretty sure he doesn't like always handing that ball off, but that's what we have to do to win games. But when he's able to be back there and dissect you, he takes a lot of pride in that. And when he puts the ball in there and gives us opportunities, we want to be there for him.
And to truly cap off how good of a day it was for Drew Brees, his worst throw of the afternoon, an interception in the 4th quarter, actually turned out to help the Saints and push the Panthers' field position back, helping to keep them from getting in the end zone one last time. Reporting in the Dome, I'm Chris Hagan for The Final Play.
So the divisional round matchups are all set. On Saturday, you've got the Falcons heading into Philly to face the Eagles. The Falcons, by the way, are the favorite. Get that. And then on Sunday, the Saints will get a rematch against the Vikings. And again, it'll be on Minnesota's home field. And check this out. If the Saints and Falcons both win, the NFC Championship game will be back in the Mercedes-Benz Superdome. That will be fantastic. So to come, we'll head to Baton Rouge, where LSU's pondering its football future. Can the Tigers become title-worthy again? And we'll preview tomorrow night's All-SEC National Championship matchup between Alabama and Georgia.
You're watching The Final Play.
And I'm going to give y'all the keys, and y'all can let them out when you're ready.
Orgeron has the keys, and he's hoping that next season his players can drive that program back to another championship. Any championship, SEC, national, whatever, because 2017 not only left a lot to be desired, but a lot to ponder as they head into the offseason. When LSU closed the book on its 2017 season with another bowl game loss to Notre Dame, you got the sense of just how far away these Tigers are from being what LSU fans have come to demand. A national championship contender they no longer are, at least not in their present state. If anything, these Tigers are in a state of uncertainty. Look at what's happened over the course of the past week. They've had to say goodbye to some key players, either through used-up eligibility, quarterback Danny Etling, or bolting to the NFL early, pass rusher Arden Key. And you still don't know what Darius Geis is going to do, although it would seem that the NFL is calling and he's ready to answer the phone. And then there's the two guys that have a direct effect on how effective they can be in a game. Defensive coordinator Dave Aranda and offensive coordinator Matt Canada. Their futures came into question during the bowl season, as both appeared to be headed out the door. Aranda to Texas A&M, Canada to anywhere else but LSU. The Tigers threw more money at Aranda and he decided to stay. They finally found a figure to settle on to get Canada off the books. But in the really big picture, LSU's defense will continue to have that one consistent voice, while the offense will eventually be going through another do-over with another offensive coordinator. And when you have such uncertainty at the skill positions, a new starting quarterback, new lead running backs, they also need new receivers. Finding a new OC is not what head coach Ed Orgeron wanted to be dealing with during the offseason. But then again, Coach O has no one to blame but himself for being in this situation again. He handpicked Canada last offseason, and at his introductory press conference, Orgeron said, quote, "It didn't take long to know he was right for the job," unquote, until he isn't. As the season went on, their relationship began to fray, to the point that a change seemingly has to be made. Question is, will the next guy he hires be able to run his offense without interference from the head coach? Les Miles couldn't butt out, and it appears at times that Orgeron can't either. If there is a positive to come from this season, it's the emergence of quarterback Miles Brennan, who appears primed to pick up where Etling left off. And the early signing period was fruitful for the Tigers as they addressed many of their needs, particularly along the offensive and defensive lines. But now that they're fully into the offseason, they know they have plenty of questions that need to be addressed. Staffing-wise, they'll get the answers soon. Player-wise, it's going to take a while. But first light will come in the spring when this team reconvenes, with what Tiger fans hope will resemble what they've become accustomed to seeing, a team that can compete for titles. Meanwhile, the Tigers landed another big name on the recruiting front. Four-star safety Kelvin Joseph from Scotlandville picked LSU at Saturday's Army All-American Bowl game. He's the highest-ranked defensive back that was still unsigned. But, of course, he can't actually sign until February and is still set to take official visits to both Auburn and Alabama. But ultimately, he says he wants to play for the hometown team. Speaking of Alabama, tomorrow night, the Crimson Tide will look to win its 5th national championship under head coach Nick Saban. To do that, they've got to find a way past Georgia in this all-SEC title game. Garland Gillen previews the matchup.
Nick Saban will meet up with one of his former assistants, Kirby Smart, in Atlanta for the national title. Saban is 11-0 against his former proteges and aims for his 5th national title in 9 years, 6th overall. Georgia and Alabama haven't met since 2015, but with Smart at the helm, there's similarities between the programs.
Both teams kind of know each other. I mean, Kirby Smart is from here, so I would expect him to throw some things out that he's already seen from us. So, but overall, man, like I said, man, all we have to do right now is overemphasize everything, understand the task at hand, and just get, prepared for this game.
Kirby's an outstanding coach. I mean, there's no doubt about it. He did a fabulous job for us for the years that he was with us, and I think the results that he got in whatever his role was, certainly showed that he's very, very capable in terms of leadership.
I know who he is. I know what he does. He knows everything that I do and that we do. There's a lot of similarities between the two programs. We're trying to be Georgia, and they're trying to be Alabama. That's the bottom line.
Georgia won the SEC, but is the underdog in this matchup. Alabama is used to these big-time national championship games. Georgia, not so much. But it doesn't matter on Monday.
They play with an attitude, they play with an edge, and I think you can see that in a lot of their games. They fly around to the ball hawks, and they play physical, they play tough. That's the type of game, that's the type of play that we want to play with here at Alabama.
The Tide lost last year to Clemson in this game, and they don't want to ever swallow that bitter pill ever again.
I don't think it's that hard, just because of the fact of the way we felt all for the past year, because we lost the national championship to Clemson, and that fueled us for an entire year. But we can't get caught up on that, because if we're not focused on this game and we lose this game, then it's gonna be the same thing all over again. So I think that if anything, we can kind of look at that and be like, okay, so we kind of got that game back that we wanted, but we want to keep that same feeling from happening again for the next year.
Garland Gillen for the Final Play.
Still to come on the Final Play, we'll hop on the roller coaster that continues to be your New Orleans Pelicans. And we've got a couple of college basketball teams that are showing up and showing out. That's next as the Final Play continues.
3 for the win. He goes! Wow! Wow!
Watching the Final Play.
Pinch me if you've heard this before, because I know you have. The Pelicans are coming off another week of average basketball. This team has won 19 games this season, and after last night's uninspiring loss to Minnesota, they've now lost 19 games. Sitting at 500 is unfortunately something this team has gotten used to. When asked about last night's 116-98 defeat to the Timberwolves, head coach Alvin Gentry said, quote, "They beat us in all phases of the game. They were quicker, they were better defensively, they ran to the ball, they got the 50-50 balls." In other words, they seem to want it more, and that's been a continuous theme of this average season. So they'll return home for their next game, a home tip against Detroit Monday night. They'll be in Memphis on Wednesday, then on Friday. Portland comes to the Smoothie King Center. A week from today, the Pelicans will be in New York to face the Knicks. Then it's a quick stopover in Boston to battle the Celtics on the 16th. Over in Baton Rouge, you can forgive LSU for still flying high after Saturday's comeback win at 11th-ranked Texas A&M. After all, it's the first real signature win for new head coach Will Wade. But what a way to finish off the upset in College Station, with freshman Tremont Waters knocking down an off-balance three-pointer as time expired. The 69-68 win was LSU's 10th victory of the season. And UNO can't seem to lose these days. The Privateers picked up their 4th straight Southland win without a loss. Yesterday, when they took care of business against McNeese State, the Tears needed overtime to knock off the Cowboys, but they did what they had to do, outscoring McNeese 13-6 in the extra period. Bryson Robinson led the way for UNO. He had 31 points. 21 of those points, by the way, were from 7 three-pointers made. And I should also mention that Southeastern is also undefeated in the Southland Conference. They're 3-0 on the young season. That's our show for tonight. For all of us here at Fox 8, I'm Juan Kincaid. We hope you'll join us again next Sunday night for the Final Play.
From Fox 8 Sports, this has been the Final Play. Keys to the Game is sponsored by your Southern Quality Ford dealer.